Judy. Okay. See the machine, iron, Ben. Hello, Melissa. Okay. Hello, everybody. So to start off, I'm making a not heavily, but a modified Lola bag by Swoon. And so I'm actually, a lot of people the other day in my Q&A video asked if I ever use any other feet for the Juki. So today I am going to be using this small workspace foot. They have these at Cutex. The one I'm using is from Gold Star Tool, or it's from Sewing Gold at Steve. I'm honestly not sure. So this is the normal walking foot, and then this is the small workspace foot. So this is the one I'm going to be using today. I used it to make the other two Lolas, and kind of helps you get into small workspaces. The one thing that I would recommend when using this foot is there's this lever here that lifts your foot up so that the pressure isn't on it. It's like raised above. So if you are using a normal foot, you wouldn't need to because it can put equal pressure on both sides. But for this one, just in case, you want to lift up so there's no pressure on that little tiny foot. Okay, how would you like me to adjust it? So I feel like you can see everything pretty well. Oh, thanks, Donna. Okay. So the first thing that I'm going to change is the connectors. These are from the Elaine handbag pattern. These are some of my favorites. I'm honestly not sure like what threads are great for domestics since I don't work on one, so I do apologize for that. The needle size that I'm using is a size 19, and the thread that I'm using is a bonded nylon 69, Tex 69. So I'm going to start with the straps and my connectors. Let me find the other one. There it is. Just regular all-purpose, yeah. I think people are just wondering like what will hold up the longest. And I don't know. I don't use a domestic anymore. What? But you've been using Tex 46 in yours. Well, in Sam on mine.
Yes.
Yeah.
But when I
Sew at home, yeah.
do so.
When you do so.
Yes. When I do so.
Okay, so I'm starting with double-sided tape along the centers of my connectors and my straps.
I did a few rivet packs.
Nice. Yeah, I stocked a few of the rainbow for someone. You're like, oh, I hadn't noticed. Okay.
Probably the sorter.
Yeah. I think it was Kelly.
Yep.
Yep. Oh, thank you, Kimberly. Thank you, guys. Okay, so for these connectors, I've added a piece of Decaville Light that is 3/4 of an inch wide down the connector. And so I'm just adding that double-sided tape all the way down. And then I do have a crossbody strap cut out, so I'll tape that while I'm here. Oops. Oh God. Okay. Excuse you, can I have that? Nope. Oh, thanks. And this crossbody strap is just cut from the width of the vinyl, so I believe it's like 56 wide, 54 long, and then 3 inches wide for a 3/4 inch wide strap. Vishara, yes, you can send me an email, but we will be restocking next Friday for everyone to purchase. Because if you email me, then everybody else is going to email me, and then it's just way too much. Way too much work. Alright, so I'm unpeeling the tape. And then I'm folding in the long raw edges to the center. I'm leaving a little bit of a gap in between so that when I fold it over, it sits nicely. Okay. So I have a full bobbin, so I'm going to go ahead and start by sewing my straps. Victoria, I'm using vinyl right now, but normally I use like the same canvas fabric that's on the exterior. Or I have pre-made black vinyl straps. I use those a lot to save time. Mandy, I'm so sorry. I don't know if that's a good one for bag making. Maybe someone else can help answer your question. Yeah, Leslie, he's actually sitting down, so I figured, yeah, why not? Welcome to the Ben Show, and in the background, Lauren is making a Lola. It's true. Good thing I'm not using piping on this bag, or he'd be all over it.
You're just co-starring in this.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, awesome. See? There you go, Carla. Answered the question for you. Alright, so I'm going to sew down the straps about 1/8 of an inch from the outer edge. Back stitch. Stitch length set to 5. I'm using a dark purple thread, so I got to be really careful with my stitches. And then again, since I'm using this small workspace foot, I want to make sure that I either lift the knee lever or this lever here so that there's no weight on that. awesome. Zipper by the Yard arrived in the UK today. If you just go to waywack.com and type in double-sided leather tape, you'll find it. I'll try and update the link in my description. I didn't realize it wasn't working. Tammy, Melissa says, thank you for getting Lauren the Dr. Pepper from so long ago. I was going to get the 1/4 inch and 1/2 inch. Any reason to get any of the bigger? Charlie, not really that I can think of. I do not use a seam guide for the stitching, no. What?
That would be me.
Oh. Hey, everybody works at different paces.
Very evident.
Oh, you mean because I finished a bag in 2 hours and you got halfway done with the Devon? No, I'm just kidding.
Exactly.
No shame.
It's a good thing you love me.
Oh, yeah. If you are using vinyl for a crossbody strap, make sure you have wide enough hardware. Mine does not have any measurements, and I don't have one with measurements, but I know that you can purchase them. Ooh. Okay, so I'm gonna grab my 2 snap hooks and a slide adjuster and finish off the crossbody strap. So for the slider, you're going to take it through underneath the bar, slide it through and over the top of the bar so that it looks like this. Your bar should slide around. They do have ones where the bar doesn't move. I don't like those, personally. Not a fan. So with the small workspace foot, you want to go slow because it doesn't have as much strength as the regular foot. So it's kind of harder to get over big height differences. Trimming my excess threads. I'm gonna take a lighter to it really quick. Donna, the pattern is on my website. It's the Elaine handbag. All right, so I'm making sure my strap is flat. I'm gonna slide my snap hook through with the snap hook underneath and slide through the top of this slide adjuster, making sure it's a nice straight loop. Victoria, yes, it is a very large trash can. It's like a full-size kitchen trash can. We have like 3 of them in the basement. Yeah, the diamond strap anchors, those are nice. Okay, so now I've got my strap through the hardware here. So now we've got this end, we're just gonna fold it over. And you can add like 2 rivets here, or you can just sew around. I'm just gonna sew around, trim my strap to be flat. Oh, hi Jacqueline, thank you. All right, so I'm gonna just sew a box stitch. Nice and slow, holding on to my threads as I start. I finally replaced the batteries on my thread zap, so I can snip these really quick. Okay, so then my crossbody strap is finished, and I can move on to the next part of the bag. My regular straps are finished, so I'm going to set these aside as well. What should we do next? Okay. Crystal, hopefully next Friday we will be releasing zippers again. Okay, I'm going to attach these little side pieces really quick. Yeah, I know, that's why I have those pre-made ones, but they are so expensive to produce, etc. Okay, so this piece here, I just freehand cut it out, and it's from the sewing pattern. All I did was measure from here and kind of trace a little curve out of cardstock. You could make it go over a little further if you wanted to, but when it's just right here, it connects to the bottom panel really nicely. And on the ones I've been making, I've been adding piping, but for this one, I just didn't feel like it needed piping. So I learned a little trick from Nicole of Sonar when we went live. I keep lifting this up so that the weight isn't on the foot. Have you looked at the new price for the Lola? No, I have not. Or do you mean like the new pattern? Because I have the new version of the pattern. It came in the subscription box, but I haven't used it because I have the templates for the other one. So I just used a little bit of this Fabri-Tac that she talked about on the outer edge and lay it down in place. So this is going to eliminate the need for spray basting or clips because it's going to set super fast and it's still able to be sewn through. So I'm just lining up, and you don't want to gloop it up too much, just a little bit, not a lot, and then set it in place. And on these little accent pieces, I did mark which way gets pointed up. And then I'm just lining it up with the edge. For interfacing, what I have added is woven fuse and just Decoville light onto the canvas. I do have foam cut out, but we'll see if I feel like it needs it. Oh, Zipper by the Yards will be restocked next Friday. Okay, so then what I'm gonna do is just top stitch along that curve. And then if you wanted to add piping, you would just kind of push it in down around there. Yeah, it's awesome glue. I used to use it, I don't know why I stopped, like I used to use it to keep piping in place, but I just don't feel the need to anymore. But on these connectors, it really came in handy. To keep them in place. So I don't need to sew around all sides, but can't break habit. If you are adding these accent pieces, I would do it before adding your foam. Otherwise, you're going to like perforate the foam and it'll be weak in that area. And you can add more than one layer or one row of top stitching if you want. But that's what it looks like. Super cute. I'm gonna repeat to the other side. Aslan, lately I haven't been using any foam on the Lolas. Like the last two that I made, I didn't use foam, even though we cut it out. I just felt like it didn't need it. But yes, I normally would use that Decaville light with it. And that's just my preference on the feeling. You may use both and decide it's too much, but I really like that it has a nice stand-up shape, and then that little bit of padded stability is nice. Okay. We used Fabri-Tac, Beacon Fabri-Tac, and I'm keeping it stored in my my mug from Hand Painted Nerd, and I'm just keeping it in my clips to help it stand up. Okay, so now I can work on my strap connectors. Yeah, Aslan, it really just depends on if you want that like extra squishiness to it. So with these connectors, I'm gonna make sure that I fold them in nice and tight around this. Yeah, Kathy, I think the glue would work for adding the foam. And I'm pushing it nice and tight up against that interfacing. And this is Decaville Light Scrap Interfacings. Yeah, Johnny Karate. It's the best. The inside is like splatter painted. It's so fun. So that's my friend Ashley who hand paints mugs. And they're like kiln fired. They're not Sharpie mugs. Not that there's anything wrong with Sharpie mugs, but don't get it twisted. Okay, so they're like little shovels or spoons, but they look really cute when they're done. So you can choose to top stitch this if you want. I'm not going to, just because I've got that extra Decaville light in there. I use a size 19 needle for just about everything, but you might need to use a thicker or deeper one depending on your machine. Instead of Decaville light, what would you use? You could use a scrap of like 809 or 808, or like 2 layers of woven fuse, something like that. I wouldn't use a Peltex unless you're using a woven fabric, just because that's going to be way too thick. But what this interfacing does, one, is helps me keep a consistent 3/4 of an inch wide piece, and adds extra stability to the strength of the bag. And then I'm using D-rings as my connectors so that the straps, the crossbody strap, will connect to it. Charlie asked, when do you decide to use strap anchors versus sewn strap connectors? Just decorative decision? Is one stronger than the other? I would say it's purely decorative, and I just haven't been reaching for the strap anchors lately because I don't know. Oh, get back here. I do like the strap anchors, but for some reason these are more fun and therapeutic to sew on. So I'm folding over the back piece of the connector about an inch down. So you want to see just a little bit here. And keep that pretty consistent. And what I like to do to make sure they're similar size is just line them up together. They look pretty good. And then I'll be adding another piece of double-sided tape to the back side to stick them on our fabric. And then if you're one of those people that really likes to measure, from the top of this piece here, it's 2.5 inches. So from here to here, it's 2.5 inches once folded over. So those are ready. Grab my double-sided tape. And I'm just cutting a piece of double-sided tape that's like 1.25 inches or so. Like my nails. And I'm laying that right about there. So I don't want it to come up too far or I can't sew there, and you're gonna see the double-sided tape on the back side. And then gunk may get caught in it, you never know. So I'm just adding that to all the pieces. You could also use Fabri-Tac for this part. Instead of this double-sided tape, you could just squeeze some Fabri-Tac on there, but I like the double-sided tape, it's less messy. So I'm laying my pattern piece. This template is from By Piera, but it's now sold by Tops and Bobbins. And this is, I believe, the fussy cut version. So what I'm doing is marking with this Tandy Leather refill, not the actual pencil. I'm marking the angle at the top of the pattern where those connectors should go. Hopefully you can see. And I'm going to line up the top of my D-ring right there with that. So right here, this part of the D-ring is lined up with that line. And I cut these out by hand, yes. I finally broke down and bought double-sided tape. What a game changer. Ugh, I know, right, Amanda? Hi, Jane, happy Friday. What's the best bag to make for someone getting back into sewing? I would say that working with like zipper pouches or little makeup bags first is definitely the best thing I would recommend. Alright, so I'm going to set that aside for now and work on this other one. And then I will try to zoom in so you can see how I sew these on. But I may not have much luck. Yeah, I love these connectors. So these are similar to the Louise handbag. I definitely took a lot of influence from them, but these are more industrial machine friendly, and I believe they're more stable because they do have a longer back piece, so you can actually fit 1 or 2 rivets between. Okay. So there's that. So what I'm going to do is start here and sew around the outside and then come back up, and then I go over and then add a second line. Well, I go across the whole thing, but then do a second line. But if your machine is not capable of that, what you can do is just backstitch here, go down, come back up, and backstitch, and then add 2 rivets. So let me see if I can kind of move the camera. Oh, it does let me zoom. Okay, cool. All right. So we'll see how this goes. All right, so this is that small workspace foot. So I'm starting on the outer edge over here. And my stitch length is set to 4.5 on my industrial. Make sure I lower my foot. I'm gonna back stitch. Work really slow around the outer edge. Make sure that my needle goes in nice around that point. Back stitch. You can see here, this part of my bag gets caught on the machine, so I want to make sure I lift up so it's not preventing me from moving freely. Stop at the top, add a back stitch, and then go over the top of the connector. And then here I like to add 1 or 2 back stitches. And then you could be done right now, but what I like to do is go around the outside again, coming in just a little bit if my machine will let me. So I'm going to back stitch up at the top. I'm going to say right now, this is not like easy to do not for most people, but if you're kind of new to sewing, I wouldn't say you should recommend this, or you should try it. And then I'm using a thread zap, but you can also pull your threads back and tie them or whatever. So there's what that looks like, and then I'm going to add 1 rivet right there. So now I'm going to do this 3 more times, but that's okay because I love doing it. Make sure I lower my foot. Hi, Pamela. Okay. And then we do it again. I do love top stitching. It looks so good after. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much, Katrina. So again, this is the small workspace foot. I believe Cutex sells one on eBay. And it might come with 2 pieces, but I don't switch it out. I don't switch out the small foot because I like the safety guide on it. So I keep the small foot on and then just change out the walking foot piece here. and then back stitch. And you can also add piping to these connectors and it looks really cool. I just didn't want to add any piping to this bag because I didn't have a color that like worked perfectly with it. So I was like, I just won't. Oh, they have this foot on Amazon too? Perfect. Hello, Tamara. Tamara. Tia and Tamara. Anyway. Okay, so now I can go ahead and add my rivets and my nameplate, and we'll work on the lining and getting everything together. So I'll zoom you back out. But I'm glad to know I can zoom in nicely. Okay, really quick, adding rivets. Hey, Tammy. I appreciate you.
I appreciate it. Love you too.
Of the Star Wars at walking, yeah, that's so funny. It's kind of true. You're not wrong. Adding black nickel rivets, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the post goes through the back side. Oh, goodbye, Ben. The cap goes on top. I have scanned through your videos regarding nameplates. What am I missing? Ones regarding nameplates. Are you looking for how to attach them or a supplier? Because I have a video called All About Nameplates, and in the description is the guy's info. And he actually just sent me a message on Alibaba and was like, hey, we have rainbow now if you want to order nameplates. And I was like, no, I'm okay. I have different ones now, but thanks so much. I've been recommending people to you. And he's like, yeah, thanks. I'm like, yeah, you're welcome. But his name is Bruce Wang. But if you search, I think, my name and All About Nameplates, you should find something. Oop, oop. You're welcome. Okay, my rivets are attached. Looks good. The bag has like gradient fabric, so that's why both sides are different colors, but that's okay. I think it looks cool. Aw, thank you, Tanya. Hi, Ben. Are you back? Are you back? Are you gonna lay down? I use 9mm rivets for pretty much everything. I'm gonna go ahead and add my tassel to like put my tassel together now. I've been using this Fabri-Tac glue for that too. I just add a little bit at the top of the cap and then insert my fabric. And again, that's the Beacon Fabri-Tac glue. This might be too wide. Yeah, it's too wide. And for these tassels, all I do is just cut out a scrap of fabric. I never use like a specific measurement. Oh, Renee, thank you. I'm so glad it finally went through. I emailed them and they were like, that is so weird. We've never seen that. I was like, yeah. Is this your problem? Is this my problem? Is this the customer's problem? But it didn't just happen to you, so weird. All right. So I'm like twisting the fabric in there. Mandy, if there is a sewing pattern, they should be linked in the video descriptions, or you can search the name of the patterns in Google. I know this screwdriver is automatic, but it's too slow for me, so I twist it also. Do you want to hang and price the dresses down there, please and thank you? Thanks. Oh, also I need 3 black nickel pop tab zipper pulls when you get a chance. I didn't put them in this bin.
Nickel?
Black nickel.
Black.
Yes. Por favor. Thank you. Thank you, Master. The plans, Master, the plans. It's from Igor. Igor? Kids movie. Alright, so I'm adding my purse feet. I'm just going 1 inch from the squared corner. 1 inch from the Decaville heavy, I should say. Oh, Kathy, that's exciting.
65?
Yes.
Okay. Wanted to make sure.
Yes, I was like, is it? Yeah, 65, 45, perfectly pocketed dresses are 60.
Okay.
Yes. Feel free to keep asking and we'll figure it out together. Ben, no one is ignoring you. We're just not feeding you. You're fine. I know I mentioned a while ago that I was adding duct tape and I didn't know if it helped or not, but it definitely helps when you birth the bag not to cut yourself on the purse feet prongs. So I will never stop doing this.
Do you need to take pictures of these or can I put them in?
No, you can put them away. Thank you. They'll just live on in my memory. Okay, so there's the purse feet attached. I'll put my zipper pull heads on. So the zipper sizes that I cut for this are 12 inches for the top zipper, and I'll be adding tabs to both sides. And then the second one I believe is 9 inches, and that's for the lining zipper. So I'm gonna add a, oh yeah, Kathy, that makes sense. Look at Ben's little paws. Gonna add one zipper pull to the zipper pocket. And then I'm adding 2 zipper pulls to the top zipper so that it can kind of open on either side. So to add 2 zipper pulls, I add a zipper to one end and then,
Sorry.
oh, you're fine. You're allowed to make noise. Make some noise! And then adding a zipper pull to the other side. Okay, so now all of my hardware is empty and I don't need to worry about dropping it. Okay, so I need to add my nameplate really quick. Figure out which side looks better. I like the darker side. The dark side. So I'm gonna fold this piece in half and mark my center along the bottom and the top, just with a little snip. And since this fabric isn't too thick, I can use my little snips. And I will add foam to this one because I'm not using piping. Like, I've been using this like really thick upholstery piping and it's been giving the bag a lot more shape than I realized. Maybe at the end of this video I'll show you guys. Vishara, it's a pack of 5. I have a 2mm hole punch. Yeah. So I will go ahead and mark my nameplate now and then add my foam, and then my nameplate will be through the foam. So I'm doing this dark side. Lining up my ruler on the bottom, kind of figuring out where I want it to go. I think I want it to be up here. So marking my center and then just kind of reassuring myself that that is still the center. Yep, looks good. Taking my nameplate, making sure my prongs are even, nice and parallel. Then I'm gonna, my nameplate is 2 inches wide, so I'm centering that on the ruler, and then I'm taking my marking pen where those prongs are and making 2 little lines, because it may not always be even. So you can see there's my 2 lines, and those are the ones I need to poke through with my seam ripper. And then make sure you're facing up. Oh, and then I'll add my foam. Yeah, that looks good. So kind of centering the foam. Just gonna poke it through. Like so. Okay, so let's move on to our lining so that we can finish up the bag. I need to add the foam to the side. I'm gonna go ahead and try using the Fabri-Tac with the foam. So I'm just gonna add a few little dots. You don't want anything thick or it's gonna kind of show through the fabric. So I'm just adding really thin lines around the outside edges, squiggly doos, a little bit in the middle. We'll see how this goes. making sure to smooth it out, and then I'll just let that sit. I'll add a few bits to this side too. You just sit over there, think about what you've done. Just to make sure I'm seeing it correct, cotton woven, Decaville light, and then foam. Yes, that is correct. Okay, so I'm adding a slip pocket to the bag. So on one side I'm going to add double-sided tape. I mean, technically both. You could add double-sided tape. And then I'm going to fold this top edge over and top stitch it. If you're not using waterproof canvas, you'll want to double this so there's no raw edges or no wrong sides of fabric showing, but with waterproof canvas it's okay. And then for this back side, for the bottom side with the double-sided tape, I'm going to unpeel the tape and fold it up. So this is the bottom, this is the top. Might help if I held it like this. Then I'm going to grab one of the Lola lining pieces, and I'm going to lay this slip pocket on top. What? And right now it's about 1/2 inch from the curved bottom. Go to your spot. Go on, go on, go on, go on. Get. SF101 is a substitute for woven fuse and vice versa. Yes. Okay, so I'm going to sew all the way along the bottom. Do you usually use the same thread for an entire project? Usually. Ben just told us all how upset he is because he's hungry. Okay, so now that's in place. What I'm going to do is I'm going to fold it about 1/2 inch over from this notch. So towards the center. I'm going to fold it like this. So you can see there's the notch, about 1/2 inch, and add a crease. And repeat on the other side. And then kind of like the Emily pattern, I'm going to start up here, stitch down, come down here, sew in like a U shape so that the slip pocket is only this big. And this is obviously not necessary. You can add a slip pocket anyway. I just think this kind of looks cool. And then you can sew on the top of your original stitch line, or you can go down or up a little bit. I'm just going to go below it. And then when you get to that fold line, you'll pivot, backstitch, come up from there, backstitch, and go along the top here. And then if you want to baste it to the side panel, you can. I'm just going to leave it like that and trim off the excess because it's pretty much in place. Do you usually just add random things to the bags, or do you usually ask whoever you're making the bag for? So if it's a custom order, I will discuss at length with them, but if I'm making it for a show or to list on my website, I just do whatever I want. And I usually prefer to just do whatever I want. I do what I want, to quote my brother-in-law. And cats. So here is what that slip pocket looks like. You could add a divider if you, or like some center lines if you want, but I think it just sits nicely in the bag, especially since it's curved around the outer edge. So this adds one, more stability. Instead of the interfacing, it's adding stability to the side panel. I don't know, just looks cool. So then I'm going to attach the bottom panel to this side, and then we'll add our zippered pocket. The zipper template is from topsandbobbins.com, and my custom nameplates are from my hardware supplier, but I do have a video. If you search for all about nameplates, you will find the information. This is waterproof canvas from fwdfabrics.com. Okay, stitch length is still at about 4.5 or a 4. Sewing along that bottom. You can trim the excess if you want. You could top stitch. I'm not going to top stitch, and I'm not going to trim the excess. I'm just going to leave it like that. And we'll add our zippered pocket. I'm going to fold this second lining piece in half, marking my center at the top and bottom. I'm going to grab one of my zipper pocket pieces, fold it in half, the opposite direction. Grab my zipper template from topsandbobbins.com. Trace around the 7-inch opening. And then kind of eyeballing where I'm laying it, but it looks to be about 2.5 from the top of the curve. Just 2. So 2 inches from there to there. The contrasting thread, my stitching isn't that neat. Yeah, it takes a lot of practice. Alright, so starting there, my foot is down 4.5. I'm just sewing 2 parallel lines. Turn my iron on. Stupid auto shut off. I think that one's 45. Okay.
I just wanted to make sure all the pockets.
Yeah. It was an exchange. Oh, whoa. Can you add a zipper panel for the main zipper to this pattern? Yeah, Karina, kind of like the snowdrop. When you top stitch, do you ever have a different bobbin color from top color, or do you always keep them the same color? No, sometimes I'll make it a little bit different. Okay, so now I'm turning the pocket through, and I'm going to press it with my iron. What?
Depends on the mood, right?
Yeah, pretty much. If I'm feeling lazy and I don't have any other bobbins of the same color. But you want to make sure that your tension is absolutely perfect if you're going to do that. Otherwise, you'll see one fabric or one thread from the other side. Okay. Am I doing this wrong? Oh, what? Can I just, before you lay down, can I have this, sir? No, you can stay where, no, I just need this, thanks. Okay, great. Rude ass. Okay. Taking my smaller zipper. Oh, zoom me back in over here. So laying that, no, it's in my bin, it belongs to me now. You want to make sure that your zipper, if you're using Zipper by the Yard, extends out past your pocket. Then you can use double-sided tape to keep your zipper in place if you need to, or want to. I don't want to, I probably need to, but I don't want to. Starting at the top. So there is, got a little wonky, but that's okay. Okay, so then using my little trick from my friend Danielle, I'm gonna start by folding the bottom edge under, or yeah, over by about 1/2 inch. Sewing through both sides of my zipper pocket. And then I want to fold this, the bottom again on the other side. And then I will trim my excess seam allowance down. If I didn't need to worry about people commenting, my zipper teeth are plastic. I only use, or they're nylon. So then you can fold this flat, like open it up. Yes, I use number 5 zippers for just about everything. And then it's already good to go. Cool, right? What do you think? All right, zooming back out. So we're pretty much in the home stretch of this bag. Lining's done, exterior's done. I just need to add the bottom panel to one of the sides. I'm gonna add it to the back of the bag, so where the nameplate isn't. I'm gonna lay the main panel down, add my bottom panel. I'm gonna set my stitch length to a 4 for this, since this vinyl can handle it. And I'm going to sew right next to the stabilizer, but not through it. Back stitching at the beginning and end. And so that's what it looks like. You want to use a smaller stitch length for construction and a longer stitch length for top stitch. So I use anywhere from like a 3 to a 5, depending on what I'm working on. Okay, so that's how I'm gonna leave it. If you top stitch, it kind of makes it harder to put it all together. The standard one is good too. I rarely change it out, but this week I was like, I'm gonna use that small workspace foot, but this foot is like maybe 20 bucks, so it's not a bad investment and it's really easy to change out, so totally up to you. Okay, so I'm gonna add zipper tabs to my zipper. I'm gonna first take my lighter and keep that from fraying. I'm gonna add tape down the center of my zipper tabs. And you can pretty much use any instructions for making zipper tabs that you prefer. Like one of the last ones I made, I just put my zipper face down like that so that there was no raw edge, but I was using thinner vinyl for that. I just don't want to do that this time. Hello to Estonia. Right, this piece of vinyl I used was way too long, but I just cut out a scrap, so whatever. So there's that, and then I'm going to fold this over. And you want to make sure they line up pretty well. And then I'm going to top stitch. You can top stitch twice if you want. I'm just going to do the one time. So then I'm going to cut this apart, and I'm going to take my thread zap to mark the center of my zipper. So I'm going to line up my zipper tabs, lay this as flat as I can, and then take my thread zap. And the reason I'm using my thread zap and not my snips is because the thread zap is going to keep it from fraying. Hi, Mary. So you can see I've just got these little bitty snips. So then we can take the side with the bottom. Do zipper tabs make the zipper longer if needed? They can, yes, but I don't want this zipper to be any longer. Oh, thank you. All right, so I've got my center snip in this top panel. This is the side you want to start with. If you're making it this way, start with the side with more pieces. It's going to be easier, I'm telling you. So lining up my snips. Make sure your hardware is pointing down. The reason I'm moving this lever up and down is because this foot isn't very thick, so I don't want to have a lot of weight. It'll cause it to kind of bend after a while. So I keep lowering it so that I can sew and lifting it so that all the weight isn't pressing on the one side because it'll cause it to dip. We don't want that. Okay. Kathleen, the double-sided tape is from waywack.com. You just type in double-sided leather tape and it'll pop up. All right, basting this in place, you can use a longer stitch length if you want. I'm going to use a 5. Got to lower that foot. And then I'm not applying too much pressure to the zipper. I'm just kind of pushing it where I need it to be gently, kind of like Ouija board hands. And then pushing my zippers out of the way. Is that a good analogy for the amount of pressure on a zipper, like Ouija board hands? Yeah. Yes, please. Here's an empty bin too if you need it. Not that I think you do, but it's there. I love that analogy. Sherry asked, when using zipper tape, how do you measure out what you need? If you need a 9-inch, would you do 9.5 or 10-inch? So with zipper by the yard, sometimes patterns will mention how much to cut if using continuous zipper tape or zipper by the yard. But otherwise, I kind of cut out about 1 inch or 2 more than I need. And then I can always trim it down. So I am not angling my zipper because I'm using zipper tabs. So it would literally be impossible. Okay, so my lining piece is the same size, etc. Hi Garth from Myth Leather Co. If you guys haven't checked out his channel, you totally should. Yes.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure. Kind of line it up with the pattern and see if it'll... There, yeah. I think it was tote fabric.
Yeah.
But if it seems like we can't get the print to look good with the Maisie, we just won't do it. Alright, so I'm using these clips to attach the lining panel. And I'm going to sew... I know we could go live sewing together. It would be so fun. So about 1/4 inch from the outside edge. And then after this, I need to change my bobbin because I know it's going to run out. And so this, you're going to sew all the way across the fabric. And then I'm kind of using my finger. Here, I'll zoom you guys in. Oh, that's my rug. It's going to mess it up. I'll zoom in now. So I'm using my finger here to make sure my zipper tape is laying flat. I can hear you, Bobbin. Make it through, please, okay? Hi, Kira. All right, so I'm gonna go underneath and move my zipper pulls out of the way. Kathleen said, on the curved top, are you leaving about 1 inch on each end without zipper? That is correct. And that's for my seam allowances, basically. Okay, making sure it's nice and flat. All the way around. Back stitch. Oh, all right. Okay, I can get through. Well, I'm just gonna switch out. I don't want to risk it.
Cover a little bit of one, okay. The other one like main.
Oh, okay. Cool.
This one.
Cool. I may even be able to use the Elaine connectors on it too. I'll see.
I just kind of was
Yeah.
placing this
Cool.
to see.
One day I too will become a bobbin whisperer. I love it. All right, so now I'm going to turn this and I'm going to press it from the lining side and watching out for those vinyl zipper tabs, so steam if you can. Of course, I have to turn on my iron because the stupid auto shut off. I'm a little tempted to exchange it for the same one I had. Okay, so now I am pushing my lining down and pulling on my zipper. Oh, nice. Nice.
So
Okay. Yeah, I think it'll work. I like it. Thank you. Susan, yes. And if you actually want to check some of my older videos, they all have drop-down menus with links. How can you tell when your bobbin is about to run out? It is a certain sound, but it's also kind of an intuition. With a similar thread, you can kind of gauge how long you went on one bag to decide how long on this one. Okay, so for top stitching, I am not top stitching all the way. I am starting at my zipper tab, and I'm going to back stitch a few times to lock that. And then again, I'm pulling on my zipper so that there's no weird puckers. So the time for Ouija board pressure is gone. Pulling on it and kind of pulling on my exterior and my lining as well, so that the zipper doesn't get caught on anything. I do not use a low heat with waterproof canvas. I just go quickly and use a lot of steam. I haven't had any issues with melting. Well, maybe once I did. When I do the side seams, I have a hard time where the lining meets the main fabric. Oh, okay, yeah. This is your pattern, am I right? I would like to purchase. No, this is from Swoon Sewing Patterns. But I do have an affiliate code within the links of the other videos and this one, so anytime you purchase, I get a tiny, tiny percentage of that pattern sale, which is awesome. So I'm just taking a lighter to, I've got some thread nests that I want to clean up, and that lighter will kind of melt the extra fabric, or thread, fabric, gosh darn it, I can't word. All right, so I'll zoom you back out for a second. Here's what we're looking at so far. So now I can grab my other main panel and line up the center snips with the top of the zipper, clip it in place. I'm honestly not sure how much of the pattern instructions I am following. I haven't read the pattern in a while. And then I'm gonna baste along the zipper. So your exterior side should be right sides together. No lining yet on this side. Ouija board pressure.
No, we can use popcorn.
For the Maisie? Really?
It's really close, yeah.
Sweet. Wouldn't have mattered either way, but this one definitely needs the foam. I know for a fact. I did not move my hardware out of the way, so I'm folding that down. It's gonna help me later. Okay, where was I? Okay, I'm getting close to my zipper pulls, so I'm leaving my needle in the fabric, moving my zipper pulls out of the way, laying that back down. So then I can grab my last piece of lining fabric, line up the center snips, and clip it together. Hi, Erin. Oh, thank you. Okay, so then we're going to sew about 1/4 of an inch from the outer edge. I'll zoom you back in because it's more fun up close. So this could kind of be the toughest part to sew because you've got all that hardware sitting on top of itself. You've got to worry about your lining staying in place. So moving what you can out of the way and just go clip by clip. Okay, so now we're going to top stitch the other side. This is going to be fun. Not really, mostly just tricky. So I'm pressing this seam, making sure that my zipper looks nice, and it does, and pressing from the lining side. So this is kind of an awkward, curvy shape, but we'll get through it together. So I'm going to steam from the lining. And sometimes I don't actually put my iron on the fabric, I just kind of hold it and steam. Oh, thank you, Erin. Okay, so unzipping it, and this is kind of why I like to do the double zipper, besides it looks cute. And you're gonna push it in the opposite direction. Again, we're starting at the zipper tab. Oh gosh darn it, I just pulled the thread out. We're gonna start at the zipper tab back stitching and then only top stitch along the zipper tab. Okay. Make sure lining's out of the way. And I like to do the side with the bottom panel on first because it makes it easier to sew through just these two pieces. I don't have to worry about the lining bottoms being in the way or anything like that. Okay. So I'll zoom you guys back in. So I'm pulling on my lining and pushing this side out of the way. I'm going really slow across the top. Again, pulling on the lining, pulling on the exterior, pulling my zipper out. Okay, getting towards my zipper tab, so I backstitch and remove. Okay. Oh, Tammy, that's awesome. Alright, so now we can sew the bottom together on the exterior only. I'm leaving the bottom unsewn within the lining. And if you want to, before you keep going, you can kind of zip your top zipper, make sure it looks okay. I don't see any wonkiness to it, so I'm glad for that. Unzip it about. Keep it zipped about 1 inch on either side so that it doesn't get caught in your side seams. Push it the opposite way. I would use it on regular thread, yes. I have, and it actually works pretty well. Okay, so lining up that bottom snippy curve. If you're using the new pattern, you line it up from like the little V cutout to V cutout. I don't have that version in template form, so I will never know what it's like. Stitch length of 4, back stitch, and then sew right next to but not through the stabilizer. I really like adding top stitching to the bottom panel, but on this bag it really isn't possible, so that's a bummer, but it's okay. It's the threads, like the Ultra, Thread Zap Ultra. Okay, so there's my bottom panel attached. So now I can do the side seam and then sew the bottom together. So I'll kind of zoom out for that. All right, so I'm pulling this apart gently, making sure my zipper is pointing out towards the lining, or in, I should say, and lining up the exterior, the lining, and then your seam allowance should be folded down towards the exterior. Line up my lining, and some clips, and then if you added the side accent pieces, you want to make sure you line those up nicely as well. All right. So I'm going to start in the lining with a little bit wider of a seam allowance, come down to here, kind of pivot out, and then sew there. So right now I'm pulling on the exterior to create a little bit of tension so that these fabrics sit flat, and then I'm sewing right up against my zipper tab, kind of rearranging as I go. And then when I get to the exterior fabric, I like to add a back stitch and pivot. And then when I sew over the accent, I like to add a back stitch, and then we're getting towards the bottom, so I back stitch. Yeah, anyone who would say my cat is ugly is an orange door hinge for sure. Okay, so then I'm gonna trim the excess off, especially around the zipper. I may not trim it off at the accent pieces. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to. Good job, Kira. Okay. So we don't stand for that here. We do not stand for cat discrimination. Okay, so now it's time. You can do the other side if you want, but I like to sew one side and then work on the next. So the bottom panel, it's kind of at a weird curve. So I'm going to lay this seam flat and line it up with the curve. You can use staples if you want. But you're kind of pivoting it together. Time to troll a sewing channel, I know. But you're gonna start in this corner and sew right next to the stabilizer. It's a weird curved shape. But what I'm doing is I'm pushing this down like that. So this corner wants to stand up and I'm pushing it down, suppressing it. And I'm going to start where my last side seam was sewn and backstitch within the seam allowance. Stitch, and then continue on sewing next to but not through the curve. And then back stitching within the seam allowance on the other one. So this is where I started and back stitched. Go around the curve, back stitch. Sewing right next to, not over, correct. And then you can kind of trim this excess little bottom if you want. That like corner. All right. Aw, from the Quirky Art Shack over in England. That's awesome. That sounds fun. The interfacing we're using, Lily says, I've been doing dishes while watching. I love Lola. Have you done it? Like, oh, no, I haven't done the taller version. I am using Woven Fuse, Decaville Light, and Pellon Fusible Foam single-sided. Oh, thank you, Charlie, for answering. All right, clipping my linings together, my exterior together. Okay, starting the lining, stitch length of 4. We're pretty much almost done with this bag, which is pretty exciting. So I have 2 more to make. Okay, lining up this side here. Lay that side seam flat. Oh, I got my mom to come watch. It's fun. I'm going to push it flat. Starting in the seam allowance of the side panel. I'm just trimming the excess little corner. You can trim down this part if you want, as long as you're not sewing or cutting through any stitch lines. Okay, so now I'm going to turn the bag right side out. Yes, I'm using a dark purple to top stitch. Okay, so the lining is completely open here, unsewn. If you want to, you can turn it through your zipper pocket. You can turn it through a little section in the lining, but I find it easier to just turn the whole thing through, especially with Decaville and foam and all that good stuff. So what I'm doing is I'm starting at the corners and I'm pushing it down. And I'm going to grab that corner, pull that out first. Then I grab the other corner of the lining, or the exterior bottom, pull that out. And then I'm pressing my finger along that bottom seam. Get some little extra threads. And then along these zipper tabs here, I'm gonna push that out as well. Aren't the accents really fun, the way they line up? Okay. So now what we're gonna do is open the zippered pocket, pull the lining. So here is my lining pocket. I'm gonna pull this wrong side. I'm gonna reach my hand in and grab the exterior, or the rest of the lining through, so that it's wrong sides out. And the canvas, or the waterproof canvas I'm using for the lining, is the rose gold from FWD Fabrics. So here's what that's looking like. Like the bag just vomited the lining out of itself. But we're gonna start with the notched corner here and line that up with the bottom of the lining. And I'm gonna start there because I know those will line up, and then I'll kind of figure everything else out from there. So I've got it started so I can pull on the bottom of the lining and just work my way slowly around it. Okay, so there's the bottom sewn together. Yeah, my hands hurt like all day, every day. I'm just used to it by now. Okay, so then the bottom sides can come together just by pulling on the bottom seam. Clip that together. About a 1/2 inch seam allowance. And I will trim down this extra seam allowance here. You want to use a wider seam allowance in your lining so that it fits nicely and it isn't too big. Alright, then one more side and then we can attach the handles. So again, just pulling on this and that'll bring those pieces together. Clipping it in the center. Oh, mixed up and lost, yeah. That's fair. Trim down the excess. Can't wait to see. I was like, are you done cutting out the exteriors?
Yeah.
Oh, how many are we making? 4? That's a good amount. I can't make many more than that, so don't ask me to.
I told Casey the opposite.
I like it. That one's gonna have that green again. Yeah. It's too perfect. Nice. Ooh, I like it. All right, so now I'm pushing the lining down in, and then we're grabbing our lining pocket, kind of squishing that all together, and we're gonna sew that shut. Yeah, because the Harry Potter books is too big for that, right?
I think that's what you said, yeah.
Goodbye, Ben. Because I just don't know what to make with that print. It's...
Not completely. I mean, you just cut out a couple of books.
What do you think?
I think it's cute, but I don't want you to be overwhelmed.
5 might be okay. Okay. And then... No. Can't do it. Alright, so now we're just gonna push and pull on these tabs to make sure they sit nicely. We're gonna put this zipper pocket back in its place. I'm gonna move the camera a little bit. There we go. How long have I owned my Juki Industrial? I think maybe 3, going on 3 years. Maybe 4. I don't think so. If you can get it out of those pieces, let's do it. Oh, it's so cute.
Ooh, it is.
I love it. I added the foam this time.
Ooh.
Oh, this is noise.
Nope. On one side. Plus she did one side and then the other side. Vinyl with...
Ooh, give me some time, because we can piece it together with vinyl on the sides instead of doing those connectors.
Well, it only has an acrylic in it.
I know, but if we
Oh.
cut it and I piece them together, it would look cool.
Okay. Then I will put this over here.
I did design the dice fabric, yes. I will not be selling it. I apologize. Okay, so I'm trimming off the raw ends of my zipper that are uneven so that they look nice. Yes, sir, I will feed you soon because I am also hungry. Yeah, I am. It's true. Karina, I keep hitting this lever to raise the foot. I'm not going to say it again. I don't feel like it. These purses that looks like a big bag. And flying cat fur. I have never seen Sewing the King. Love this tutorial. Oh, good. I'm glad. Sewing the lining. Gotcha. I think I actually put these on a little lower than I usually do.
Go this way.
Throw it away. Well, hold on to it, because I can cut out one of the sandworms to make a keychain.
Okay. These are extra where you can make something else with.
Cool, cool. Have you ever used OD Code or Scotchgard? No, I have not. Do I have any shows coming up? C2E2 in Chicago at the end of February. Why are the handle anchors angled? It's part of the pattern. It's the way they're angled on the pattern. And I think it looks cute as hell. Love this bag, so glad I caught the tail end. Oh yeah. Yeah, the feet. It's like a tap dancer. Okay. I hope that sells for $1,000 because it's worth it. Yeah, I wish. I think this one's probably going to be $105, but I just love those accent pieces. Don't they look awesome on it? We made 2 others. I'll show you guys before I hop off. So I'm going to add my keychain. No, I'll bring it over there.
Oh, okay.
Because oh, yeah, go get them. She put them away like a good lady. So there's my tassel and keychain with it. Oh, the template for the bag is from topsandbobbins.com. I believe you can use coupon code SOWHATEVER for 10% off. Forget the like button. Yeah, guys, don't forget the like button. Let me add these hands. Oh, that's rainbow. 1, 2, 3, 4. My nameplates are 2 inches. I did make the tassel. Oh my gosh, that's so cute. Someone's gonna scoop this one up. Thanks. So here are the other 2 that I made this week. Hold on, let me move this really quick. Yeah, within the past 2 days. So this was the first one, and I added this like really thick piping there. I love it. They're so cute.
It does really look different.
Right?
To the other one.
Yeah, like it's because of the way the piping sits. It kind of.
Oh no, I meant the other Lola.
Oh yeah. Looks better, right?
Yeah, that other Lola is like. Yeah, that's it.
What is the hardware called to make the tassel? Just a tassel cap. And then here's the other one. So this one is 105. I haven't found that it isn't strong enough. But you can always add some stitching as well as the rivet. But we use this like color shifting vinyl on the piping for this one and then on the handles too. So cool. This one over here is priced at $115 because it comes with a vinyl crossbody strap. So this one is also $115. Okay, I gotta add the handles before I forget. That would be just like me to do. Can you make them bigger? Yes, you could absolutely print it out to be larger. I wouldn't, just because I really like the size of it. I have a lot of large bags and some small bags, and now I have some mid-sized ones. Whoa, that was my hungry stomach. I'm also meowing. Have you ever made the Lauren with one strap anchor on the sides instead of front and back panels? Let me reread. Have you ever made the Lauren with one strap anchored? Oh, I have not. So you mean like just as like crossbody on the side? I haven't, but you couldn't hurt to try it. it's not working out so well. I'm getting hangry. Have a good day. So I'm hole punching very slowly so that I don't make the holes too big. Otherwise the rivets could pop out potentially. I haven't had a complaint that I know of that the handles popped off or anything, so I think we're okay so far. If I'm working on a leather bag that I can't rivet through, I do sew the handles on. And I cut these straps to 20 inches by 3 inches, in case anyone is wondering. How long? That bag really matches you today, right? How long does it take to sell the bags I make? That's a good question. I don't know. Chris says, do you ever use different feet on your Juki? Today we used a different foot. It is not hard to change out. Before I end this video, I'll show you me switching it back to the other foot. Okay, and then I will add the crossbody strap so you guys can see that. So you can use 3/4 inch simple square rings or these D rings to attach the handles and still be able to attach the crossbody to the bag. I used to rivet on crossbody connectors here, but they fell out and caused the stitching in the side to pop out, of course, so don't do that. I believe if you guys follow Debbie Hunker, she has a tutorial adding D-rings to the zipper tab, so you may be able to try that out as well. But yeah, these are all my Lolas. I sell online, yes. Oh, yeah, Kat, that makes sense. That side seam. Yeah, because if you poke a hole through the stitching, it's just gonna come out completely. Oh yeah, foot changing. Let me show you guys that really quick. Her name was Lola. Too far away. There we go. Okay. So right now I've got the lever up here in the up position. And there's this screw down here. So there's a set of 2 screws. We want to mess with the singular one. And you can use your knee lever. You just pop that off. This is the small workspace foot. And again, I was lifting up that lever because too much weight on this little tiny foot can cause it to bend, and then you've wasted your money. But this is the foot that normally comes on the 1181. So you can see the size difference. And then this just goes there. And then you can tighten it back into place. If you're not hungry, it's easy to tighten. Or if you're using the correct screwdriver, which I'm not, of course. So yeah, that's how easy it is to change out. This is U192T. And then this is the center. So I call it the middle foot or the tiny foot. This is what came with it from Gold Star Tool. This one, no. That little hole, you can't get the thread through. Sometimes the needle will hit the side. I had no luck with this, and it doesn't have a safety little net here. So I only switch it out to this side foot that's the easy one. So that's it. Do you guys have any other questions before I go eat lunch? Because I'm starving. Give you a... I do have a cylinder arm machine, but I don't like it. It's the Artisan 331B, I believe. So that's not perfectly lined up, but that's okay, because I'm human.
Yeah, it's handcrafted.
It's handcrafted. She's so cute. Yeah, she real cute. She cute. Okay, so thanks so much for hanging out with me, guys, and I will